Today I wanted to look at how the cognitive functions can be either masculine or feminine. This comes from objective personality, so they are obviously the experts. I'm just sharing what I understand thus far. I will focus on the judging functions first, in this video, because they are easier to grasp. It can be easier to tell the masculine and feminine judging functions by looking at your saviour functions, as they come more naturally to you and will be more obvious by looking at how you act. This definitely isn't written in stone. I'm not an expert on this, I've just figured it out as best I can, and provided some examples which will hopefully help you to understand it a bit too. A quick disclaimer before I get into this to save any negative comments. I'm not talking about the gender of people, just the cognitive functions. Everyone has 2 masculine and 2 feminine functions in their stack. The definitions therefore don't relate to whether someone is male or female, so please don't get offended by the definitions and think I'm calling you a weak pushover if you're female, or an argumentative jerk if you're male. Anyway, onto the video. Here is a quick definition of masculine and feminine with regard to the functions from objective personality. Masculine is more rigid, immovable, certain, and shovey. Feminine is more fluid, movable, flexible, and changeable. Masculine energy is doing, thinking, analysing, decision-making, leading, giving, pleasing, which means that sensing and thinking are more masculine than intuition and feeling in general. Feminine energy, on the other hand, is feeling, expressing, intuiting, just being, following, receiving, creating. Intuition and feeling, therefore, are more feminine than sensing and thinking in general. So someone with female intuition and feeling will come across as more feminine than someone with feminine sensing and thinking, and vice versa. The stereotypical comic book style man will have masculine sensing and thinking saviours, and the stereotypical comic book style woman will have feminine intuition and feeling saviours. For example, masculine TE will have more strong masculine characteristics than masculine FE. I find this to be true because I have masculine FE, and my partner has masculine TE, and his TE is much more rigid than my FE, even though they are both masculine. I think this could possibly be because values are less rigid than logic, in that they can be subjective, whereas logic is often objective, though not always. Now let's look at the judging functions, and see how we can tell what they are. A quick way to see what masculine judging function you have is to look at what you argue with. Do you argue with logical values more? Which is non-negotiable for you? Which would you not compromise on? That is often your masculine judger. So if you argue with logic and reasons and don't back down on those ever, you probably have masculine thinking function. Whereas feminine thinking will be a bit more flexible and open to other people's logic and reasons about the topic, and they may change their mind about it. Conversely, if you argue with values and don't back down on those, whether this is your own personal values or the values for other people, then you probably have masculine feeling. Whereas feminine feeling will be more flexible and open to how other people value that thing. They may decide it is less important than they initially thought. So I have masculine feeling, and I will not back down when it comes to values and how people will be affected by certain things. If I think something is harmful to someone I love, I will refuse to allow it to happen. Here's a silly example. If my partner wanted a chocolate bar, but I knew it had made him or someone else I know ill in the past, I would refuse to let him have it. My masculine FE wouldn't back down, even if he gave me every reason on the sun as to why it would be okay just this once. My partner, on the other hand, has masculine TE, so if something doesn't make sense or has bad logic, he won't allow it to happen, no matter what anyone else says about it. If I wanted that chocolate bar, but it was out of date, or it had something that I may be allergic to, my partner would refuse to let me have it. His masculine TE would see the reasons and not back down on those. Even if I told him it would be okay, I would try just one bit and see how I feel, and that I really wanted to try it just this once. Another way to tell is to look for the stubbornness. You are much more unlikely to pick a fight or argue your point as much if your saviour judging function is feminine than if it is masculine. An example for TE and FI is that masculine TE won't fight about internal feelings, FI, but will fight about the external reasons, TE. Feminine TE is the opposite. And as you can see, if you have one masculine judging function, the other one must be feminine, just like heads or tails on a coin. You can't have both. The difference between your judging function being introverted or extroverted is where you will focus your energy. So having masculine FI or TI means you'll shove on yourself more. You will be more focused on constantly improving yourself or picking up on your own mistakes. You will leave other people and their problems alone until you have dealt with your own first. Masculine FE or TE is the opposite. It means you'll shove on others more. You want to make sure everyone else is doing a good job, not getting things wrong, but you are less interested in yourself and your own problems. You will be better at teaching others and solving their problems than you will your own. The feminine versions are softer than the masculine, so feminine FE or TE will push on the tribe gently, sort of nudge them along, ask them what they think, if they want to do something, rather than just telling them like masculine FE or TE might. But they can switch to look inward and to see that actually they may be part of the problem, thus switching to using their demon masculine introverted judger instead. And feminine FI or TI would start by looking inwards, trying to figure out how they can change, but they can switch quite easily to looking outwards and to see that others may be contributing to the issue as well, thus switching them to use their demon masculine extroverted judger. Feminine FI or TI may find that they don't always want to push for what they want, especially if it goes against what the tribe wants. So for example, you wanted to have Pizza Hut tonight, but the rest of your family wanted fish and chips. Then you would keep your thoughts to yourself and go along with fish and chips to keep everybody else happy. The masculine TE or FE almost shouts louder than the feminine FI or TI does, so you will have to listen to it more. This is the case whether in a savior or a demon state, but people with savior feminine FI or TI will start looking inwards first and then switch, whereas people with demon feminine FI or TI will be looking outwards first and forget about checking with themselves until later on. Here's another silly example to show the difference between introverted and extroverted, as well as masculine and feminine. Say there's an issue of littering in a small community, which is brought to everyone's attention in a meeting. The people with savior masculine FI and TI will first start looking at themselves to see if they dropped something accidentally and are not doing enough. Should they go around and pick up other people's litter when they see it on the streets, for example? The people with savior masculine TE or FE will first look to everyone else and want to know who has been leaving litter everywhere. They will look at where the litter was found and talk to the people to live near to see if it was them or if they know who it was. People with savior feminine FI or TI may suggest that another bin could be put somewhere that they walk lots, that they know is far away from a bin, and they don't always want to have to walk all the way. And people with savior feminine TE or FE are more likely to want to put bins around so that everybody else can access them better. They may have a vote to see if the bins are difficult to access and where more should be placed. To tell whether you have masculine or feminine feeling, try looking at how you deal with emotions. People with masculine feeling can come across as very logical. The emotions are there, they're controlled, and they will be let out when needed and the door closed again. With feminine feeling, the emotions are harder to suppress or ignore when you feel them. Masculine feeling users get to a point in their lives where they counterbalance their empathy and learn to shut off their emotions to stop getting hurt. I know I've done this myself. I can be watching a sad film or listening to a sad story, and I can decide whether I want to empathize with this or whether I want to remain passive and just listen impersonally without getting emotionally involved. I couldn't always do this. I taught myself after I spent so much time getting too worried about other people's problems that I would stress myself out or upset myself. It's like people with masculine feeling can shut it off as a defense mechanism to protect themselves, but people with feminine feeling find this much more difficult to do, sometimes almost impossible. I hope this has helped a little to explain what masculine and feminine functions are and how to tell the difference. If you have any questions, please comment and let me know. I will look at sensing and intuition next week. Thank you for your time.